Hello everybody, my name is Necroneos. I am the other Curtis of Team Hero. Today I've got a Dark World deck profile. Now, everybody basically knows what Dark Worlds do. Everybody knows what happened to Dark Worlds. They got the sad end of the story. They got power crept really hard. Made the deck really bad. But this is fun. It's more of a controlled variant. Really heavy on the spells. A little bit of traps, but you should be able to draw them with this build. So getting right into it, we have 3 Grapha. Basically your boss monster of the deck. You discard this card, pop 1 face up card that your opponent controls. I believe it is face up. Target 1 card your opponent controls. Pop any card that your opponent controls if it's discarded by your card effect. Also, if you have another Dark World monster on the field, you can return it to hand and summon him from graveyard. Next we have 3 Snow of the Dark World. Probably one of the most important cards in the deck. It is your searcher. It searches anything with the name Dark World if it's discarded by your card effect and sent to the graveyard. And then we got mixed match here. We have 3 Brow. Basically he turns into his own little pot of greed. When you discard this card due to your own card effect, you get to draw 1 card. So a lot of the cards in here, they say you discard 1 card to draw 1 card, so you basically draw 2 cards. So they're little pot of greeds, or upstarts, however you want to view that. Then I am playing the silver and gold version of this deck, which is arguably the best version of the deck. Playing the 2 gold, 1 silver. They do the same thing. If you discard them by your card effect, they special summon from the graveyard. Then for 1-ofs, I have 1 Beige. Now he is really decent. I think he's just not as relevant as he used to be. You could make rank 4s with him, but being completely honest, you're not really going to make it that far with this deck. You're going to want to OTK your opponent as quickly as possible. Set your back row if you can't, and you want to be on with your way. You got better exceeds to go into than rank 4s. Then we got Fiendish Rhino Warrior. Basically he can send anything that you need to the graveyard. If you can't get that graph in the graveyard, he can do that for you. He can get the Skarm in the graveyard, so you run the Skarm. It can search any of your level 3 fiends like Tour Guide and the Browse. Basically an all around good card. Then you can make rank 3's Leviair being the best, since we do play Allure of Darkness. So basically you banish a card, a Dark World card with your Allure, you summon the Leviair, and then summon the Dark World card. You pop it back to your hand with Grapha, and then use it for any card effect that may help you in the future. So that is 16 monsters. We also run 16 spells. We got 3 Gates of the Dark World. Obviously searchable by Snow. One of the best cards in the deck. We do see a lot of field spell reliant decks nowadays. This is probably one of the first ones to do it right. It just is an incredible utility to be able to draw a card whenever you want to when you have as much control over your graveyard with this deck as you do. Gives all your fiend type monsters 300 attack and defense, which can be good if you're running the viruses. I'm running 1 of them, not any more than that, but if you choose to run that type of build, then it's pretty good for those. We got 3 Dark World dealings, again searchable off of Snow. Pretty good combos depending on what it is. You can obviously discard a Snow with this, do a search, discard a Brow with it, do a search. It's pretty good, self-explanatory. 3 Allure of Darkness. All your monsters except for Fiendish Rhino Warrior are dark, so it's always good to have those extra draws in, especially when you're playing such a small count of traps, and that they're also the kind of the main focus of the deck if you're not OTKing. So you want to see your traps, you want to see big hands, you want to see good hands as much as possible, and the draw power of the deck, I think that Allure of Darkness is really important. Next we have Drag Down to the Grave. This would be better if we were in a format where you didn't want your opponent to see your hand. Right now it doesn't really matter because you have a lot of the same decks going around. A lot of OTKs still happening, a lot of complete lockdowns happening. If you want your opponent to be able to see your hand, this is fine. Otherwise, it's really not. That's why I'm running 2 instead of 3. It's obviously it's player preference though. And then we have 2 trade-ins. This is another card that's player preference. It's not going to kick any Dark World effect, but Graphas do clog your hand a lot. Trade-ins, they kind of clog your hand a lot if you don't have the Graphas. But like I said, it's player preference. I've found that having the trade-in helps me a lot more get that Grapha to the grave and get that draw than it hinders me later in the game. Lastly, we got the 1-ups of the spells. Pretty self-explanatory. Decks cannot come back if you activate this card, and then help controlling the graveyard. Again, 16 spells. The cameraman is drinking a slushie right in front of me.
I'm trying. Anyways.
Trying to tempt me. This is a card that I really thought a lot about playing, and a lot about not playing too, actually. I think it's too good not to play with the amount of control that you have in your hand. You're never going to stop trap cards because we don't play them right now, so that's not important to get rid of your other traps. What is important is you get rid of any card that may be dead in your hand, anything that you may want to drop, like a monster or a spell. You can always get rid of monsters and spells. That makes these really strong, being the amount of control you have over your hand. That also makes the trade-ins a little less cloggy, it makes the Graphas a little less cloggy, but it will not kick any of your Dark World effects because it is a cost. And I play 2 Quaking Mirror Force. Really, I just felt it was too good not to play. I wanted to play it at 3, but I didn't really have the room. There's not really much that anybody can do about this except for maybe Utopia Lightning, and I just honestly don't see very many people doing that often anymore. We got Skill Drain. Skill Drain and this deck run perfectly together. All your effects kick off the graveyard. You pretty much never activate an effect unless it's an Xyz monster on your field. So it's basically locking down your opponent for free. Eradicator Epidemic Virus. This card's just good. I believe it's self-explanatory. You get to shut off your opponent for 3 turns. It's really good.
Claw spells versus Blue Eyes. It's funny.
Well, then they could just
lose because they have no way of searching out the cards they need.
Yeah.
Or something from the
unless they drew Godly. Torrential, because this card doesn't hurt you. You can set up your board. Your Graphas, you can 1 Grapha to 3 Grapha. You can easily do that almost any turn. And then just summon them back next turn. Like, your Graphas are always free. You summon a monster, add it back to your hand, free Grapha. So this card just doesn't really hurt you. Not once you've made your plays anyway. And then the 1 warning, self-explanatory. Warning is always going to be strong. I didn't play the other 2, the strikes. I don't like paying life points a whole lot whenever the deck itself isn't very good.
I do. I'll pay all the life points.
So that's 8 traps, which I believe is plenty. You know, with the amount of cards that basically shut off your opponent, that should be plenty. Now for the extra deck, to be honest, this doesn't really matter all that much. Yeah, you will play it. Don't misplay and then make monsters because you can make monsters. I myself would rather have the big beaters that I can just summon for free whenever, than have them trapped under an Exceed monster. I just think they're far better that way. But they do help out in sticky situations. We got the one Felgran. I've never summoned this card, but it's good. Played it in Sylvans. I believe Sylvans. It's good.
Pretty important, Sylvans.
Yeah.
If you are ever unfortunate to play it.
Well, it used to be good.
What?
It used to be real good.
Keyword.
I
I love it though.
Hope Harbinger. Basically shuts off your opponent again, which is good. Helps with you know, the traps that you play in this. Helps with the destruction that you have in this deck. It's just really good. Again, I've not really ever summoned it. Maybe once or twice, but it's not situational at all. You can make this whenever you want. Zombies Time. Again, never summoned it. It's a really good rank 8 though, so I would recommend still playing it just in case. Lancelot, more control, always good. And then that's all the rank 8s there. So I play the Volcasaurus. You're not going to summon this very often at all. I know that's getting repetitive with the extra deck, but you're not going to summon this often at all. But when you do, it's actually really, really good. You summon it with your golds and your silva, and basically burn them. You can burn them for game, whatever. You know, it works pretty good if you can't get an attack through, which sometimes does happen. Sometimes you know they got something set, something good set, and you don't want to put an attack through. So it doesn't happen all that much anymore, but you do have road decks like this one. Artifact or Enderroll. You'll have really bad hands where you still get to make a rank 5. So this allows you to reset your hand and also protects your field next turn. And then I have the Utopia package. A little bit harder to summon in this deck, but not totally impossible. I could definitely do it almost anytime I really wanted to. The reason I'm playing all 3 is this card, in my opinion, is busted. You banish all the monsters and then just plop another one down. I think that's great. So it should be pretty self-explanatory there. Casto, Dweller, never make them. They're situational, but you'll pretty much never make them.
You'll probably make them more in game 2 than anything, or 3.
Yeah, that is true. Now for rank 3s, I play the 1 Levier. I might put this up to 2, just because it is really important, and you can make it outside of the tour guide play. It's just a little harder. But if they get rid of this one, it kind of sucks. So I might bump it up to 2. Play the 1 Grand Pulse because in the off chance that there are spell traps, I don't want there to be spell traps. Zinmains, self-explanatory. You're never going to summon it, but when you do, I mean it's decent. And then Dante, you probably summon this a lot more than you think, just for the 2500, and you know, after your searches, after everything has already gone through, it's really good to just try to get those extra monsters in a graveyard if you don't have Graph already in there. It is a bit of a risk, you know, hitting your traps and hitting key cards, but I think that once you get so far into it, the Dante just helps you move some plays along a little bit. And that's it. It's not a good deck by any means, but it is a really, really fun, I guess, rogue deck, if you want to call it that. I've been having a lot of fun with it for the past couple days. You know, it's got me some cheap wins, basically. So, thank you very much for watching, and have a wonderful day.